of the movie, a barracuda attacks the nest where Nemo's family lives. And almost every single egg, aka Nemo's future siblings, gets destroyed. So Nemo's dad, completely devastated, is left holding the one last egg that survived. He named that egg Nemo, and that's where the movie begins. But here's a popular theory about this film that actually makes a lot of sense when you look into it. What if the dad, Marlin, was now sitting completely alone at the bottom of the ocean? He just lost literally everything. So what does he do? He invented a son in his mind because he couldn't keep going without one. Think about what Nemo actually is in this movie. He's perfect, brave, clever, kind, loves his dad completely, never does anything wrong. Unlike Nemo, kids in real life are usually a lot worse. Real kids eat dirt off the floor and have full screaming meltdowns in airplanes that last for hours. And yes, I'm talking to you, baby, that was on my flight from Paris to Los Angeles. 11 hours, and that baby cried the whole time. Just know, we're throwing hands if I ever see you in public. If you still don't believe that Nemo passed away before he was even born, just think about Dory, who we definitely don't find weirdly attractive. But Dory can't remember what happened 10 minutes ago. So even if somehow Dory pieced together that
Nemo isn't real,
she could literally not hold on to that information long enough to do anything about it. She would forget and go right back to going along with what Marlin was doing. She just keeps swimming. She never questions anything because she can't remember anything. And who's really the only person that Marlin is around the whole time while looking for Nemo? Dory. The only person who couldn't say to Marlin,
Nemo ain't real, big dog.
So at the end of the day, Nemo's dad is schizophrenic and Dory has Alzheimer's. So this whole movie is just about some mentally ill fish. Is it possible for fish to have schizophrenia actually? Hey Siri, can fish have schizophrenia?
I don't know, dog.
I'm done, bro. But for this next theory, I need to summarize the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie just in case y'all forgot the plot. So, a poor kid named Charlie Bucket. Wait, why did the editor put an arrow towards me when I said poor? You did it again? Poor, poo. Tricked ya. Anyways, Charlie wins a golden ticket in this movie to visit a mysterious chocolate factory owned by a strange man named Willy Wonka. He's not the only one. 5 kids total win tickets. They all show up with the parent and get the tour. The bad kids start disappearing one by one. Augustus Gloop drinks from the chocolate river after being specifically told not to, and he gets sucked up by a pipe. Violet chews experimental gum she is clearly told not to touch, and she turns into a blueberry, and then she gets wheeled out of the room. Verica Salt gets assessed by a room full of trained squirrels who determine she is a bad nut, and then they throw her down a rubbish chute. A kid named Mike interferes with a television machine and gets miniaturized to almost nothing. The way these kids are getting caught just sounds like natural selection if you ask me. But here's what I need you to actually think about for this movie. Not one of those children is ever shown leaving the factory. Augustus gets sucked into the pipe and we never see him come out the other end. Violet gets wheeled out of a room and we never see her again. Mike is last seen miniaturized with zero indication of how he can fix that. And none of them appear at the end of the film confirmed to be okay. None of them wave goodbye. None of them get in a car and go back home. And every single time a child disappears, the Oompa Loompas come out. And they perform a full song and dance production about the child who just vanished. But if you actually listen to the words of this song, you'll realize they are songs about a child in the past tense. They're singing about what that child was, what they did, what specific flaw led directly to what just happened to them. And it's sung immediately after that child goes somewhere we cannot see and does not come back from. So these songs are eulogies. Wonka knew everything that was going to happen on that tour before it started. He knew which children were coming. He knew their weaknesses. He designed every single room specifically to place those exact weaknesses in front of those exact children. He knew they would be too tempted and would give in. So he built a factory that was essentially a personalized test for each child on the list. And when each child failed their test, the Oompa Loompas were already rehearsed and ready because Wonka had planned the entire sequence out before any of them walked through the door. But the funny part is, the parents are standing right there. Every single time a child disappears, their parent is standing right next to Wonka watching it happen. And they don't chase after their child. They don't do anything. They just stand there while small orange men in coordinated outfits perform fully choreographed musical numbers about what just happened to their child. Parents of the year, if you ask me. So basically, let's just rip the band-aid off. Those kids in the film, they're no longer with us, to put it kindly, because Willy Wonka slimed them all out. Not very nice, Willy. Willy. Okay, sorry. You know, I'm just gonna end the video before I keep saying Willy. Willy.
Please tell me I made it. Oh, what is that? Oh, yeah! That'll work!
I made a post asking you guys for your wildest school confessions because I figured we'd get the classics. I cheated on a quiz. I called my teacher mom on accident. But what I got instead didn't feel like confessions. No, these felt like future court cases. Because based off these things I'm about to read to you, I'm pretty sure that some of your schools were literally just GTA Online servers. But before we even start, I need to make something very clear. These are your guys' stories, okay? Not mine. So if something sounds insane or freaky, don't blame me. But without further ado, let's get into it. We're starting off with one that just made me pause and stare at the wall for a couple minutes after reading it. This confession felt like the opening scene of a Netflix documentary with how cinematic it was. They titled it, "I accidentally caused a school lockdown." Here we go. I hid 6 small Bluetooth speakers in the ceiling tiles of every classroom I had, thinking that it would be funny to play ghost sounds during class. But fast forward to Friday, I'm in the library during my free period, and I open a mobile shooter game. I totally forgot my phone was still synced to all 6 speakers across the wing, and as soon as the match started, the entire hallway exploded with the sound of gunfire and reloading. If I heard those sounds while in class, I would have jumped out the window. Every man for themselves at that point. Because the speakers were inside the ceiling, it sounded like it was coming from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I heard a teacher down the hall scream, "Run!" and the lockdown alarm started blaring. I cannot imagine the horror of a school lockdown starting and knowing I caused it. Or actually, I guess I can because I did that too. But anyways, I had to sit there in the library, heart racing, frantically trying to disconnect my Bluetooth while hearing people cry. I eventually ran to my homeroom so I wouldn't look suspicious, and 20 minutes later, I heard the main entrance doors get kicked. I don't know what's about to happen next, but dog, you are cooked. We watched through the door window as police officers in full tactical gear and dogs ran through the hall with weapons out. Not the dogs. It was a 3-hour lockdown. They never found the speakers, and I graduated without anyone ever knowing it was my phone. What do you mean they never found the speakers? So a SWAT team just pulled up to your school with dogs, looked for 3 hours trying to find where those sounds came from, and then they were just like,
"Oh well, we tried. Anyways, who's hungry?"
if one thing went wrong in this scenario, you wouldn't even be here typing this message. You'd be in a documentary. First of all, you hid 6 Bluetooth speakers in ceiling tiles. Why? And I know you said it was because you wanted to play ghost sounds, but you didn't even say whether you actually ended up doing that. Also, how did you even manage to sneak the Bluetooth speakers in tiles without getting caught? I know I said my friends and I used to stick paper airplanes in the ceiling, but that was hard enough to do without getting caught. This is next level. But based off reading this story, I know exactly what type of person you are. And that is a rich person, because you could afford 6 Bluetooth speakers. Either you went on the show Wheel of Fortune and actually won, or your parents are rolling in dough. So congratulations on that. But just imagine being the poor teacher in one of these classes where the speakers are. You randomly hear gunshots and you're freaking out trying to find the source of where it's coming from while all the other students are going crazy. Like I've said before, if I was a student in one of these classes, I'm jumping out the window. And if there's not a window, you're gonna find me in those vents. The one thing I'm not doing is staying in that class. This is how the teacher probably reacted in this scenario.
So as you guys can see, oh my gosh, what is that? Everyone get under their desks now. The main
Do more games end in 5 to 4 or 1 to 0?
That's an easy one. 1-0.
Google says
This is how the kid who thinks he's the main character probably reacted.
Don't worry, everyone. I'll save the day.
How the kid who's deaf reacts. How the kid who's secretly a robot reacted. Oh no, what is happening? But whoever sent this confession made one small mistake, because you mentioned that you graduated without anyone knowing that it was your phone. But guess what? I know it was your phone, and I've contacted your school and local law enforcement, and there will be people coming to your house very shortly to arrest you. Nah, I'm just kidding. But the one question I do have is, are those speakers still in the walls today? Because I low-key need some new ones, you know what I'm saying? Now yes, that was only the first confession. And after that one, you would think the next confessions would be lighter. Wrong. Because here's the next one. I convinced my best friend to throw a chair at my old English teacher. And one time I made laxative cookies and passed them out to my class. Okay, now correct me if I'm wrong, but by the way you typed this, it really sounded like you were bragging about doing it. Almost as if you were proud of this. And if that's the case, you're a villain! You convinced your best friend to throw a chair at your old English teacher? Which means you didn't even throw the chair yourself? Your role was somehow even worse. How did you even convince your friend to do this? What, do you have superpowers or something? Are you just like that one girl in the show Gen V where you can put your hand on someone and whatever you tell them to do, they'll listen? I need to know how this story ended. Was the teacher okay? Because I've had a chair thrown at me before. Don't ask. But let me tell you, I barely survived it. So if I was an old man and I got hit by one, it would probably look like this. But it didn't end there. No, because then you casually added,
Oh yeah, also one time I made laxative cookies and passed them out to my class.
the one thing I keep trying to figure out when reading these stories is, what do you gain from this? Even if you were like,
Oh, there's this one kid in my class I really don't like.
why would you do this to the whole class? I feel like, if anything, the person who is negatively affected by this the most is you. Because the class probably just sounded like this for a week straight. God. I've tried laxatives before, and we all know what happened when I did that.
There's an explosion going off in my stomach. Mile 3, I'm sprinting home because I can't hold it in much longer. Do not try this.
All right, this next confession is super refreshing compared to the previous one because I don't feel like you should be on the FBI watch list after reading it. I was sitting in my reading class. We were reading Charlotte's Web, and I had to go to the bathroom so bad, but the teacher never saw me raise my hand, so I accidentally peed and left a puddle on the floor. I only told one person when it happened, LOL. To be honest, we have all done this, and I don't want to see no comments saying, nah, Tyler, that's just you. Stop the cap, okay? We have all done this. There's two types of people in this world. The first is those who have peed their pants in school because the teacher wouldn't let them go to the bathroom. And then there's liars. I remember the first time I peed my pants in school. I say first time like it happened a lot. It didn't, okay? I promise you guys. Only like 8 times. But anyways, the first time I did it, I really had to go pee. But my teacher kept insisting that since we just got back from lunch, I shouldn't have needed to go. So I was just like, all right, I'll prove to you that I have to go. And I wet my pants on purpose. Now I do regret doing this because my mom had to come bring me a new pair of pants and the whole class laughed at me. But still, this was about proving a point to my teacher. The only thing I'm a little confused about is that you said you left a puddle on the ground. So did it like leak all the way down your leg onto the ground? You know, I don't even want to know actually. Next confession is something that I didn't even know they do in schools. But after doing some research, I feel bad for y'all. Because apparently, if you didn't know, in some schools, they have something called a phone ban, which means you literally can't have a phone in school at all. Let me just tell you right now, I would not have graduated if this was the case at my school. Because here's their confession. So before the phone ban was taking place on our school, the kids would be on their phones everywhere. And I mean it. In the classroom, the bathroom, and in the lunchroom and hallways. Anywhere you could think of, even the janitor's closet. Why do the janitors always have to deal with the most unnecessary drama every day? And so, one time in class, everyone was on their phones, and the teacher didn't care because she only taught to the kids who wanted to learn. And while everybody thought they were slick, suddenly the dean walked in, and he saw everyone's phone. And the second he saw, he confiscated every single phone. Even searched through some kids' backpacks who tried to hide it. And he walked away holding like 20 phones. And that period, I went to the bathroom, and when I walked by the dean's office, holy, I saw his desk filled with phones. Like probably 40K worth of phones just sitting there. And by the end of the day, when all of the kids went to go get their phones back, the entire floor was packed with kids waiting to get their phones back. They all waited there for like an extra 30 minutes. To be honest, if I was the principal at your school and I confiscated all those phones, they would have been on eBay 30 minutes later. I'm just saying. Cause 40K in phones? That's the teacher's salary for the whole year. So if there's a chance to get the bag, I'm going for it. Your principal's desk just turned into an Apple store. I also love how the teacher didn't even care about kids being on their phones at all. It's like whenever my dog tries to jump on my bed. You can only tell them to get down so many times before you just accept it and let them do whatever they want. Now for the next confession, we got someone saying, my English teacher was caught doing the boombayah with the history teacher in the school bathroom and they were fired. Rumors say they got married on Christmas Day. Wait, why would you get fired for doing the boombayah in school? Okay, wait, never mind. I now understand why they got fired. I just looked up what boombayah means and now it makes sense. Because I thought boombayah was a type of dance, like the Macarena or something. I didn't think it was freaky. Wait, now that I actually know what boombayah means, let me read this again. My English teacher was caught doing the boombayah with the history teacher in the school bathroom. Oh my gosh, the school bathroom? Not even like in the teacher's lounge or something? First of all, why is the school bathroom always where the crimes happen? That's not even a romantic setting. Nothing good has ever happened in there and it always smells like dookie. Like, for real though, they need to put a humidifier in there